Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Reverend Nancy Wilson. I'm a board member of Venice Pride, and I'm the senior pastor here at Suncoast MCC, and I pastor along with Reverend Rick. All right, give him a hand too. And also, the other part of our team is Dr. David Katz, and thank you for all your help tonight. And he's the director. So we're just so glad to welcome you to this very special evening. And first I'm going to introduce Corey Dean, who is a marketing manager at Synovus Bank, and he is the vice president of Venice Pride and will introduce Venice Pride to us a little bit. We're so grateful because Venice Pride is the total sponsor of this evening and of our being able to have this event. And so we're grateful to be able to collaborate and thankful for their help and in organizing tonight. So welcome, Corey.
Thank you for the warm introduction, Reverend Nancy. So good evening, everybody, and thank you for being here this evening. It's a great evening, and we're lucky to be here in beautiful sunny Florida. So I welcome you to the Tyler Clementi Foundation presentation for Stand Up and Speak Out. Sponsored by Venice Pride and hosted by Suncoast MCC. My name is Corey Dean, as Reverend Nancy shared, and I am the Vice President for Venice Pride. So at Venice Pride, our mission is to be a champion of inclusive and supportive environment where all can thrive. Our vision is a vibrant community where all individuals are respected and empowered. I'm excited to be able to support this evening's event and our guest speakers, and also, of course, Northport High School Choir, along with Suncoast MCC Choir. So it is our hope that events such as these can bring our communities together. I think it's wonderful. We've got Venice, Northport, and that collaboration that Reverend Nancy spoke about happening in our area. I encourages the respect for others' differences and allows us all to share our genuine selves wherever we're at and where we live. The passion and talents you will hear this evening are truly a gift. So if you would like to learn more about Venice Pride, Suncoast MCC, or the Tyler Clementi Foundation, please take a moment at the back of the room. You'll see some tables set up where there'll be some handouts and some takeaways for you to take home with you and share and read over. As Venice Pride, we always encourage volunteers, we encourage continued support and participation within future events, and we thank you all for that support and participation. Thank you.
At this time, we want to welcome Liz Barker, who is a member of the Sarasota County School Board. Thank you. We're so excited. She's an educator, a mother of 4 children, a school psychologist. Her passions are about funding our schools, not having political distractions, and teacher morale and retention. We're so thrilled to welcome Liz.
What a joy to be here tonight with you all. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Reverend Nancy, for your warm welcome. Thank you to Venice Pride and Suncoast MCC for hosting our gathering tonight. It is an absolute honor to stand with you in solidarity against bullying and discrimination. As your Sarasota County School Board member, I am deeply committed to ensuring that every student, regardless of their sexual orientation, their gender identity, or gender expression, feels safe, valued, and supported in our schools. You guys are such a generous group with your applause. Thank you. I have to tell you, though, this commitment for me isn't just a policy stance, it's a moral imperative. We do have policies that prohibit discrimination in Sarasota County schools, and I am so grateful for the work of those who came before me to put those into place. But I have to be honest, I also know that not every student in Sarasota County experiences school in the same way. For some, school is a place of safety and growth, but for others, particularly our queer and trans students, it can still feel isolating and even be unsafe. Our job isn't finished until every student's reality matches the promise of our policies. And that brings me to my current point. Right now, something is happening in our schools that some of you may be concerned about. I am very concerned about it. Recently, our school board attorney proposed a change to our student code of conduct. Specifically, he believes it is necessary for us to remove the explicit protections for students based on, quote, sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression, and to replace that language with a broad reference to, quote, any classification recognized by state or federal law. I believe this is wrong. Removing these explicit protections doesn't protect our students. It weakens their safety net. It sends a signal, and whether that's intentional or not, that some students matter less than others. And that is not a message we should be sending from any of our public institutions, let alone our schools. Our policies should reflect our values, and if we truly value every student every day, as we say we do, then we have to name and protect every student, because the truth is in the details. And in this case, those details matter deeply to the students who are watching. We also have to consider the very real stakes. In Florida, a 2017 survey found that nearly 35% of our LGBTQ plus students in Florida were bullied at school, compared to only 14% of their heterosexual peers. Queer and trans youth are more than twice as likely to miss school because they feel unsafe, and 3 times as likely to be victims of dating violence or sexual assault. And we're all worried about school attendance, right? We say we are. So then we got to put that into practice. According to the Trevor Project, 16% of LGBTQ plus youth in Florida attempted suicide in this past year, including 1 in 5 transgender and non-binary youth. That's unacceptable. 74% of queer and trans youth in Florida report experiencing discrimination because of who they are. These aren't just numbers, these are our students. These are real lives, real hearts, and they walk through our school doors every single day. So yes, I believe we do need to keep those protections in our student code of conduct, but more than that, we need to foster a culture that includes every student every day in our classrooms, in our hallways, and in our conversations. So to all of you here tonight, students and young people, you matter. You belong. We are not giving up on making your schools truly safe and inclusive. And to the parents, educators, and community leaders, your presence tonight is powerful. We must continue showing up. We must continue speaking up and be the adults that our kids deserve. And to Ms. Clementi, thank you for being here. Oh, where? Oh, Mrs. Clementi, thank you for being here. And for turning your unimaginable grief into a nationwide mission of empathy and equity. Your voice is helping to save lives. I'll close with this. The opposite of bullying isn't kindness. It's courage. It's the courage to hold the line, to speak the truth, and to act when it is easier to stay silent. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. And now we have a wonderful treat, our special guests, especially with graduation happening and so much at Northport High School. We're so grateful for Northport High School Choir to be here with us tonight, directed by Dr. David Sommer. Please welcome them. They're going to perform twice, 2 numbers now, and then at the end, some of us from the choir of Suncoast will join them. So please come forward, David.
In 2013, suicide took the lives of 41,149 people in the USA alone. Depression affects about 20 million people in the USA, 350 million worldwide. Mental health disorders are serious issues in our culture, and it is important that we have open conversation about their existence and that we show support to those who are battling them. To Write Love on Her Arms is a nonprofit movement dedicated to presenting hope and finding help for people struggling with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. Their 2016 campaign for World Suicide Prevention Day was titled, "And So I Kept Living," using hashtag #IKeptLiving. Thousands of individuals who battle depression share their stories on Twitter as to why they chose to life over death. I read through and collected hundreds of the tweets and used them to inspire the text for this work. This is from the composer. Please Stay, which is what we're about to perform, is an anthem for hope, an attempt to destigmatize mental illness and challenge all of us to support those who are battling depression and thoughts of suicide. You are not alone. We can make a difference. We can be the support system that saves a life. Give voice to hope. Share your hashtag reasons to stay on Twitter, hashtag please stay. For some people, depression may lead to thoughts of suicide. Try to remember that you don't have to act on these thoughts, no matter how overwhelming they might be. If you're considering ending your life, it's important that you talk to somebody right away. And if you're in a crisis, you can also call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-TALK, to get immediate help. Please enjoy, please stay.
The storm is strong, but it will pass. You think you can go on another day, but please stay. Just stay. Don't let your stay be just stay.
My happiness is no longer at the hands of someone else.
I realize that what people say about me reflects who they are, not who I am.
It's okay to be a work in progress.
Showing your feelings doesn't make you weak. Some days are still such a struggle. All I can think about is Tyler. I wish he kept living.
I decided to ask for help instead of going through it alone.
It was hard as hell, but I kept living.
One person took the time to listen and understand. Sometimes that's all it takes.
just those holy moments, aren't there? And it's not, it's just something powerful that happens, and you just gave us that beautiful moment with your skill, but also with your tears and your passion. And we're just grateful for your lifting us up tonight. And now I'm introducing someone who I just met tonight, who is Annie Berkman, who is the new Executive Director of Also Youth, a wonderful partner of Venice Pride, and who is so important in our community. Over 30 years of work in our community, I think 33 or 4. They were founded in 1992 as a safe and supportive outreach environment for LGBTQ youth, for counseling, peer support. They do advocacy, they do leadership, they do support and outreach. They're one of the most important institutions in our state, and I would say in many ways in our country. So would you welcome Annie Berkman?
Wow. First of all, choir, thank you. It felt like a sacred moment. It was just so moving. Thank you, Reverend Nancy, for the invitation, and Jane for your presence tonight. So honored to be here in your presence. Tonight is all about being lifted up by music and being moved by courage. And that is exactly the atmosphere that every LGBTQ youth needs right now. Also youth. So that's why Also Youth actually exists. As mentioned, it was founded 32 years ago to give Sarasota and Manatee LGBTQ youth a place that schools and society failed to offer, and that is a safe place to belong. It started by volunteers passing out flyers with pager numbers on them, believe it or not, and those pager numbers would get called or beeped by the youth, and those youth then would get a call back from the volunteers, and they would be told, this is where we're going to meet up this week. We've come a long way since then, since those days. We reach about 300 students each year in our community through virtual programs, through the drop-in center, and through our partnerships. The things that we provide are free mental health counseling, no insurance, no stigma. We have the daily drop-in hours, leadership clubs, summer camps, parent support groups, gender-affirming workshops, to name a few. We also have annual scholarships that we've handed out to dozens of local students so that they can attend college. The current challenge that Also Youth is facing is one perhaps that you might not know about. Hurricane Milton destroyed our Sarasota Center. But our youth didn't disappear, and neither did we. We popped up in church halls, on Zoom. We partnered with other agencies until we can find a new home, because resilience is our curriculum. Some might not be aware that Mental Health Awareness is this month. LGBTQ teens are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their straight peers, and this is something that is deeply personal to me. I have lost 3 brothers to their mental health struggles, and every time that a young person walks through the doors of Also Youth, that is helping that family to be spared of the heartbreak that I encountered and that my family encountered. And this is where the tie-in of anti-bullying comes in. Bullying tries to convince our youth that you're alone. Also Youth is here to prove that you are not. One supportive adult makes it so that there's a 40% lower suicide risk. So all of you adults hear that. You can make a difference. Let's make that adult all of us here. Some ways that you can help our community is visit the table in the back, sign up to volunteer, become a monthly donor, or you can invite us to speak at an event of your own, in your workplace. Another place you can help is just at your own dining room table. Be that safe adult that people can turn to. You have a platform to stand on with these kids. In the sanctuary tonight, we will sing How Could Anyone? But tomorrow I want to make sure that every student hears the message that we are hearing in this room today. So the charge is to take this with you. Take this out into the community. Don't just let it be here in this room. Take it with you. Thank you all.
Thank you. So here's the moment we've been waiting for, and we're so glad. I've met Jane Clementi several times. We were trying to reminisce today how many times we've seen each other at conferences or ceremonies or different things. But I had the privilege of spending many hours with her yesterday and today, and what a joy to know you, Jane. Jane began her first career was in public health nursing. And she and her family founded the Tyler Clementi Foundation in honor and memory of her son, Tyler. And she became the executive director and full-time in 2018. She has a story and a message and a mission that words are powerful and should be used for good, and that bullying can be prevented, interrupted, and stopped. Will you welcome Jane Clementi?
The pressure. Thank you so much for those kind words. And the chorus did an amazing job. Thank you so much for adding your music and your voices to tonight, because I do think that music really can impact people even more than the statistics that can affect our heads maybe, and stories. I believe strongly in stories that can reach into our hearts, but music just reaches right down into our souls and can really transform people. So thank you so much. And thank you for the other speakers too. I'm so glad to be here. Let's see if technology is going to work for me. It's always a question. So yes, thank you so much for inviting me and for putting this whole evening together. Pastor Nancy, or Reverend Nancy, you go by, right? Yeah. Yes. So as I was introduced, my name is Jane Clementi, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am one of 3 co-founders of the Tyler Clementi Foundation, and now I am the CEO of the foundation, and our mission is to end online and offline bullying in schools, workplaces, and faith communities. And yes, I do want to acknowledge right from the start that there may be a few triggers in my son's story, but please keep in mind that although all bullying situations are painful and they often leave lasting scars that almost always impact someone's physical and emotional well-being, all bullying situations do not have the same devastating consequences that my son Tyler's story has. And that is exactly where I want to start, by sharing a little bit about Tyler's story. And we can go to the next slide. My son's very private life became public in September of 2010, when his name captured national headlines. Not because of his thoughtful, kind, caring nature, or his warm, infectious smile and great sense of humor, and hopefully you can see a little bit of his great smile in the pictures. Or even his love for adventures and cycling, whether it's on 2 wheels or 1, because as you see, oh, I can see that there. He is up on a unicycle there playing his violin in that other picture. Or even because of his enormous passion or his musical gifts, perfect now, as an accomplished violinist. No, sadly, Tyler made national
Online and
headlines.
offline bullying are pain.
That's coming. We gave you a sneak peek. But sadly, Tyler made national headlines in the fall of 2010 after his sexual orientation was used to humiliate and shame him in the digital world. It happened just after he started his freshman year at Rutgers University. when he was targeted in a cyberbullying incident, where his college roommate live streamed him in a sexual encounter with another man, posting about it on social media and having everyone comment on it, and Tyler reading all the comments. And this was very humiliating for Tyler in front of all his new dorm mates. His roommate was sharing a very private moment and announcing it to the entire world, or at least, as I think, in Tyler's mind, the entire world as Tyler saw it. And for me, the worst part is I do believe Tyler's roommate did this simply because of Tyler's sexual orientation. Tyler's roommate used one of the God-given traits that made Tyler unique and different from him to humiliate him and put him down in front of his new peers. And I'm not really sure what his roommate was actually trying to achieve. Maybe he wanted to be more cool or more popular, or, I don't know, maybe just make himself out to be more important. But I really don't think his roommate gave any consideration to the great expense it would cost another human being, that human being being my son. And great harm was done, because as Tyler kept reading the jokes and comments on social media, his reality became very twisted and distorted. And he lost sight of just how special and precious he was, as well as the resources that he had available to him, both at Rutgers as well as at home. And as I think about that now, after living through such profound grief and sadness myself, I can understand now how when you are in a very dark, lonely, sad place, you sometimes can't find the resources that you have available to you. And it's been talked about and sung about. We really need to know where our resources are. So, because every time when you are experiencing large amounts of anxiety or stress, you might become confused and not be able to find the help that you need and have available to you, which is why I believe everyone needs to find their resources now, before you need them, before you get to the point of despair, when your reality becomes very twisted and the illogical becomes your logic. So you should know which teachers are a trusted adult. You should know which, if your pastor is a trusted person, or your parents. You should make sure and have those conversations in advance. And this is one of the reasons why I keep sharing Tyler's story, to illustrate just how easy it is for someone to spiral out of control into a mental health crisis. Because emotions like stress, anxiety, anger, shame, and grief can so often distort our thinking and overwhelm us to the point of despair. But the good news is, which we heard from the singer and we heard from also youth, very clearly, is that the good news is that all you need is one person. So find your one person. Maybe that person is right here in this room, because you are so very fortunate. You have a wealth of help, support, and encouragement right here surrounding you. But sadly, Tyler was not as fortunate, because he was in that dark, desperate, lonely moment, he made a terrible decision, a permanent decision to a temporary situation, one that we can never go back and change. On September 22nd, 2010, Tyler died by suicide. He was only 18 years old. And as much as Joe and I wanted to go back and change Tyler's actions, the reality was we could not. So instead, we put our energy and actions into raising awareness around the issues that impacted Tyler and trying to find solutions to those issues, so that no one else would ever have to face the same pain, shame, and humiliation that Tyler experienced. As we learn more about what happened to Tyler in his final days, one of the things that stood out to us was how many people had witnessed and seen what was happening, whether it was in person in the dorm or whether it was online. And no one stood up and no one spoke out to our knowledge. And that is just not acceptable. That is why we at the Tyler Clementi Foundation are so passionate about turning passive bystanders into active upstanders. because research shows that if someone intervenes in a bullying situation, the bullying usually stops within 10 seconds the majority of the time. Of course, we never, ever, ever want anyone to come into harm's way, so we encourage people to intervene safely when they witness someone being targeted in a bullying situation by choosing the best strategy for the situation. And we have the very cute video that you started to see before to help you understand upstander behavior just a little bit better. So now you can do the video.
Online and offline bullying are painful and can leave lasting scars that almost always impact someone's physical and emotional well-being. In the most severe cases, it can have tragic, deadly consequences. But you have the power to end bullying before one more person is harmed. If you see bullying behavior, then you are part of that situation, because all bullying situations have three participants: an aggressor, a target, and a bystander. Bystanders are people who see what is happening but say or do nothing. Research shows that when bystanders intervene, bullying stops within 10 seconds, 57% of the time. That's why we're turning passive bystanders into active upstanders. An upstander is someone who safely intervenes in a bullying situation. You can join us by taking the Tyler Clementi Foundation's Upstander Pledge and taking 3 basic steps. Interrupt the bullying behavior if it's safe to do so. This can be as easy as changing the subject or calling out the aggressive behavior and words. It can also be accomplished by simply walking the target to a new location. If you don't feel safe, or if the aggressive behavior doesn't change, inform a trusted adult or person of authority about the bullying behavior. Now remember, this is about safety. It's not snitching or being a tattletale. Another way you can help is to interact with the person being targeted. Letting someone know you recognize what is happening to them can make an enormous difference. Tell the target that you care and that they're not alone. Help them find the resources they may need. By taking these 3 simple steps, we can save lives. Our Upstander Pledge has reached over 1 million people already, but that is still not enough. We need it to reach every person in every classroom, workplace, and faith community. Together, we can end online and offline bullying and create a world where kindness prevails, empathy flourishes, and no one has to face bullying alone. Take action by becoming an active upstander today.
And this just helps illustrate the 3 points that we made in the video. And we also have cards that have it, and this also lives on our website. So I'm going to the next page, PowerPoint, sorry. And also, this is conveniently easy that to be pledged, you can just scan the QR code, and it'll take you right to our pledge page, and you can just leave it there for a little while. Because I'd really like to talk a little bit more about one of the points that we were talking about, and that is making sure that everyone knows that it's not tattling if you are sharing and trying to keep someone safe by informing a trusted adult. It's just a very significant point about upstander behavior, and it's important to know the difference between gossip and rumor and a healthy conversation and discussions. Upstanders always share the facts with the hopes of bringing attention to the issue or the problem, and it is always with the desire to keep people safe. They don't sensationalize rumors or reshare texts or posts or pictures that are simply out there to harm and humiliate someone else. And sometimes that can be a very narrow window, a narrow line to decide, is it something that I need to share? Is it something I need to tell somebody? Or is it something that I should keep private? And because of that, we always tell youth that they should be encouraged to talk to a trusted adult or a mentor or a parent or even an older sibling that can give a different perspective and help them determine what can and should be shared. But even adults sometimes need help to determine the difference between rumor and healthy conversation. So I would also encourage you to talk the situation through with a friend or someone who maybe have a little more life experience or some wisdom with a similar situation, or maybe even someone who can give a little insight from a different perspective from your own. Or maybe even if you're fortunate enough to have professional help, I strongly encourage you to use that. And one example to try to illustrate about the difference between gossip and rumor and healthy discussion is to look back on our family situation and thinking about what should have been shared and what maybe should not have been shared. To start with, for sure, the entire situation was started by someone sharing something that was absolutely should not have been shared. That is very clear. It is absolutely wrong to invade someone's privacy. It was wrong for that person to invade Tyler's privacy. No one should ever share images or make comments about someone else's private, personal actions. But what about, secondly, what about all the media attention, the telling and retelling of Tyler's story in all the news outlets? Because let me tell you, it was shared widely, everywhere. And was that upstander behavior? Or was it sensationalizing a story just to sell newspapers? And I must admit that when the media first started covering Tyler's story, I can't even tell you what I was thinking, because that was a very dark, empty space in time for me. I have no real recollection of that time. But maybe if I had been thinking, I'd probably think in line with what everyone who was surrounding me at the time, including my immediate family, and that was that it was wrong and that it really would not have been pleasing to have our private lives, and specifically Tyler's private life, spread out all over the headlines. But I must tell you that is not my opinion today. When I look back, I have a very different perspective. I have come to understand now there was a purpose and a good in the media covering Tyler's story. I now see that the media attention actually helped raise awareness around the issues of the ever-increasing epidemic of harm caused by cyberbullying, as well as the facts that our LGBTQ youth were then and still are now more vulnerable and more likely to be targeted. They're more likely to be targeted in a bullying situation, whether it's online or in person. And because of that mistreatment and stigmatization by society and other people, they have a higher rate of suicidal ideation. And we heard lots of statistics from our previous speakers. But I do like to make sure you understand that the increase in suicidal ideation is not because of any inherent flaw within those young people, but rather because of the external harm towards them from their peers and from society. I truly don't think the media coverage was intended to spread rumors, although I must admit there was a lot of misinformation in many of those articles, and it didn't always include the full story, because most people didn't know who Tyler was anyway. It was just a name in the headline. But rather, I do believe that they really wanted to elevate a problem with the hopes of finding solutions and pushing forward to try to find answers to the problem. And I also think that that they were not intended to spread those rumors, rather to elevate the problem and pushing us forward as a society to do better for our youth. They did not cause any additional harm, which they actually could have to our family, because my older son was not out publicly at the time, and the media was aware of his sexual orientation. So because they did not put it out until James gave his approval for it, which was in an article in People magazine in December of 2011, I am very grateful for that they did not out him before he was ready. So that's very good. So I don't think they had any intention of harming anyone. They really wanted to elevate a problem. And on the private and personal side, our family would not have had the huge outpouring of support and help from so many people if the media had not covered Tyler's story. I often think about that now as I meet so many people that try so hard to hide their problems and keep them to themselves. I hear people saying things like, oh, I don't want to be judged, or oh, I don't want them to get all up in my business. And it's about sharing it with a trusted person. And I know it's hard to share the most precious thoughts and disappointments and feelings, but hiding your emotions and problems and keeping them from the people that love you most is not good for anyone. which makes me also think back to Tyler, because I see now that is exactly what Tyler did. He had perfected his ability to hide parts of himself from a very early age. He had been hiding his sexual orientation from the world for many years, and that must have been extremely difficult and emotionally draining. I think back and I remember this confident, cheerful, easygoing youth who always had such a beautiful, warm, infectious smile on his face. And that smile that falsely reassured me that everything was okay. But now when I see that smile in pictures, it makes me think that maybe he had learned that it was easier to hide behind a smile than it was a frown. And hiding from the world, as well as the fact that that world included me, just breaks my heart today. And it's not unusual. Some people exhibit signs and symptoms and other people don't. And I just spoke on a suicide symposium last Tuesday, and many people shared the same very fact, that not everyone exhibits symptoms. So I can't stress it enough that hiding your problems from your friends and loved ones only causes you to miss out on the help and encouragement that they want to wrap around you and shower you with. For me, I don't think I could have made it through that dark period in my life that started in 2010 if I didn't have the help and support of our friends and loved ones. I sort of think the old saying is true, you know, sometimes it takes a village, and I guess God knew that I needed a mega metropolis because we had the whole world come around us. And for that, I am very grateful because, again, I don't think I even had the words at the time to even ask for help. And second, really important personal point for us about the media coverage was our family then was warmly welcomed into the LGBTQ community. And without the media covering Tyler's story and outing us as a family, I don't think we would have had that support either. And yes, individuals need to come out, but so do families need to come out. I remember one of the first speaking engagements I did was at the Federal Reserve Bank. I can remember clearly. And when I said that, someone came up to me afterwards, and he was like, absolutely. You know, my mom talks always about my sister and her husband and their kids, and she never talks about me and my partner. So it takes many layers. We need to come out, and we need to share what we need with other people. And so for that reason, I'm very grateful for the coverage, and I now see it actually as a blessing in disguise. So sometimes you need a little bit of time, and sometimes your experience with something may be horrific in the moment, but give it a little time. Don't be rash and make quick judgments and quick decisions. One other point that I like to make here too is that self-harming behavior or behavior that will harm someone else should always be shared with a trusted adult. You're not breaking a promise or tattling if you have the person's best interest at heart. I remember one young woman's story. I was speaking at a high school up in Connecticut, and this story just stood out to me. At the time, she shared that a few years earlier, she had confided in her best friend that she was overwhelmed and that she had a plan in place to end her life. And so she also told her friend, of course, don't tell anybody, and that is absolutely wrong, and we know that. And her friend knew that as well. And her friend told her mom, and her mom told the young woman's mom, and the young woman's mom got her the help that she needed. And she was very glad that her friend did that. Of course, she did say that at the time she felt betrayed by her friend, but you know, you have to live through that betrayal because it didn't last very long. Once she was in a better place, she was very, very grateful that her friend had shared. But again, on the other hand, if it's not self-harming or violent behavior, you should not reshare someone else's story without their permission, and no one should ever out someone before that person is ready. It's more about doing good and protecting and making people be safe. And additionally, we do need to keep having healthy conversations on mental health topics. like bullying and depression and suicide, because these conversations do not increase the prevalence of those issues. Rather, they help us to reduce the shame and stigma around the topics. And that helps break down the barriers so people can find their resources and get the help that they need. Also, having larger conversations around bigger issues like diversity and inclusion and equity and LGBTQ history, and sharing our own stories as well as the stories of leaders and activists whose stories are already public, are all absolutely essential conversations that we need to have. Because I believe that these conversations will help move us forward to a kinder, more caring society. Because if I have learned anything in the past 14 years, it's just how important sharing stories are to help create change. Change that counters the negative political rhetoric and addresses the harmful religious dogma, as well as dispels the stigmatizing cultural myths that so often lead to misunderstandings and hate. By sharing our stories, we can hopefully open up minds and help transform hearts to counter this ever-increasing epidemic of unwanted aggressive behavior that we are seeing that is so prevalent in today's world. Words and actions that I believe simply come out of a place of fear, a fear that leads so quickly to hate and comes from simple lack of knowledge and misunderstandings about things and people that are different from us. Many times this hate and discrimination has been taught to us over generations sometimes, consciously or unconsciously. Just being exposed to the certain words and rhetoric increases the likelihood of having discrimination against others and increasing the hate. But now is the time that we can break the cycle, and we must speak up and use our voices to share our stories. Because no matter what makes us different, our ethnicity, our gender expression, our gender identity, our sexual orientation, religion, even abilities or body shapes, no matter what, it just continues on. We can all find differences, and we need to celebrate those differences. No matter what makes us different or unique, we are all special and precious, just like Tyler. And everyone needs to be celebrated for what makes them unique and exceptional. And that's why we have created some of our other programs and initiatives. The next slide is about our Day One initiative to stop bullying. It's an effective research-based tool to prevent bullying before it happens. We believe that if we can set clear boundaries, and we have provided on our website multiple scripts for schools, for workplaces, for faith communities, and it's a script you read to the group and you get confirmation back, and that sets a clear boundary. And then when someone steps over the boundary, you have something to say. Remember what we all decided to agree upon on the first day? Well, we want to make sure that that behavior is carried out. And the script, we need to get confirmation back from the group and to make sure that everyone is in agreement. That's key in getting a successful initiative. And just a couple other of our programs, because Nancy had asked us to share a little bit about the foundation as well. And the next slide is probably what's near and dear to my heart, and actually the reason why I'm here, and that is, the next slide. You're in suspense, I know. We're keeping you on the edge of your seat. I think they're having a problem advancing the slide. There you go. And the next, one of our next programs is called Tyler's Suite, and it's a beautiful piece of choral music that was sang just Friday and Saturday, which is why I'm down here in Tampa. It was sung in Tampa last night and St. Petersburg, no, 2 nights ago, and St. Petersburg 3 nights ago. It is a piece of choral music that was commissioned by San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus and 6 other Gala choruses from across the country, from Texas to New York to Seattle and California and Chicago. And it's a beautiful piece of music. I could talk about it forever and ever, but it was organized by Stephen Schwartz, who wrote Pippin and Wicked, and then he got several of his friends because they wanted a different composer for each movement so that it would have a different musical kind of a presentation or tonality, because they wanted to show how we are all intersectional and that we all present different points of ourselves. And Tyler was no different. And we're all like special gems. You know, a gem has all those faceted in it, that gleams and shines, and that's what we wanted to express with Tyler, as well as it also has different movements that come from the mother's voice and the father's voice and the brother's voice. And so it all will sound different with different composers. And they did a great job in Tampa Bay. It's apparently very difficult music, but I encourage anyone who wants to attempt it to please go right ahead. We also have, we are in support of the Tyler Clementi Anti-Harassment Act, which was introduced in 2010 for the first time, and it's been reintroduced in every Congress. It hasn't gone anywhere, but it's about harassment in institutions of higher education. It was first introduced by our then Senator Lautenberg in New Jersey, but since it's been reintroduced the last few times by Senator Patty Murray and Tammy Baldwin, and Congressman Pocan from Wisconsin also with Tammy Baldwin. So it's something that we really want changed, but there's protected classes in it. We're having a hard time to get protected classes passed. I wonder why. They want to take it all out. We also have a cyberbullying guide on our website, which is more of a piece of information that's almost like a conversation with like an adult with a younger child, so that to keep you safe in the digital world, and it's to have conversations in advance, because you need to be preventative and proactive in advance, because research does show, we had done a small poll, and other research also shows that it's not if you're going to be cyberbullied, but when you're going to be cyberbullied. It's when we did it several years ago, it was almost up to 69% of the youth had already been cyberbullied when we did the research. So it's a great conversation and something to look through, because it's important to know, and for parents to know, that it's not the device that's the problem, it's how people behave on the device. And it's not to take the device away from you, but it's maybe to how to capture the evidence and then maybe get off the platform or block the people who are doing it, but not to be constantly exposed 24/7 to this harmful messages. We do also have on our website a link to True Faith Doesn't Bully, because we do believe that faith-based bias and discrimination within certain faith communities based on misguided teachings and traditions are very harmful, especially for members of the LGBTQ community. We're a very small organization, so we just don't have enough staff to work in that space right now, other than my sharing my journey. But we do have some really great letters written by many different people. We had an initiative many years ago, 6 maybe, pre-COVID, where we were reaching out to Southern Baptist ministers, and we had different people writing the letters. We had pastors, we had parents, we had young people, we had people from the community, and just allies as well. We also had organizations like the person who was in charge of HRC at the time. They wrote their story. So there's some really great information. We also partnered with Father James Martin for the Catholic Church. We have something called Letters of, bishops, as a statement by the bishops of support for LGBT youth, and we needed to just use those letters because we couldn't use the Q. But we did get 12 bishops to sign it out of over 300, I don't know. But what was really important was that there was a grassroots sign-on and really a movement, because we also had hundreds of religious orders as schools and organizations also sign on to it. And some of the organizations were hospitals that serve multiple locations and had sites all over more the West and California and in that area. And I actually had a call with them as well, and they assured me that they actually had pride events in their Catholic hospitals, which was really amazing, and that they did do transgender care as well in their hospitals. So I was really pleased to see that for sure. And that all lives on our website. You can easily find it for sure. The next slide is what can you do? I hope everyone takes action. You don't just sit and listen and nod your head, but everyone has to take action. So I do hope that you will partner more with Venice Pride, as well as also youth, right? Also youth. I'm getting it. By the end of the evening, I'll have it. And also for us, I would hope, the next slide, that you will join our Upstander Pledge. And again, there's the QR code after that. And then, so use that this evening to, get inspired to go out and do something. And if you need a reminder, I hope you'll all take a little bracelet home. It's gold for the golden rule. Do to others as you'd have them do to you. Something Tyler didn't receive, but something we want everyone else to receive. Conveniently, our website is on the back if you forget and want to go sign the pledge once you get home. But I'm a visual person, and I actually need reminders. Just signing the pledge doesn't cut it. You're not an upstander if you're not enacting it every part of your day. So I encourage, not everyone wants to wear a plastic bracelet like I do, but I put it someplace where you'll remember. Put it by your dresser or your bed table, so when you get up, you think about, how am I going to be an upstander today? What am I going to do to stand in the gap and help someone else? As well as if you want and you find your behavior might not be so good in the digital world, put it by your laptop, put it by your computer, by your tower. And if you're sending out messages, texts, emails, whatever, I often say take a minute, take a breath, and pause, and reread your message. If it's encouraging someone and building someone up, great, send it out. But if it's tearing someone down and destroying someone's character, possibly, please, rewrite it or maybe just discard it altogether. And we have lots and lots of stickers that say I'm an upstander. So I encourage everyone to help us spread the message. I encourage you take a whole bunch home and give them out to all your friends and tell them about being an upstander, because it's more than just one person. We need everyone. We've reached over 1 million people with our message, but there's still a growing number of aggressive behavior that we do not want in our world. We need to be kind and respectful. And despite all the troubling times that we are in, I do still remain hopeful. I still believe that it's possible to create a culture shift where kindness, respect, and compassion prevails. And now I have to add the word courage. Who said courage? You said courage, yeah. Where it is not the cultural exception, but rather the cultural norm. We have to have it as our norm. But no one can do it alone. It will take all of us joining together. We need each other. And I hope you will be part of the Tyler Clementi Foundation Upstander movement and be the difference in the spaces that you enter into. So please go to our website. And I do want to thank you for being such a very attentive audience. You're great listeners, and I look forward to hearing more about your school and your organizations, and good for you being the school board. I hope you have some support, and I hope you're not a sole survivor on the school board, because, okay, well, that's good. We need unity. We need more people. We need to join together. So, and also, I do want to just let you know, there is also a 3-digit suicide helpline, 988, which for now even has support for LGBTQ youth on it. It's trying to be defunded, but for now it does. And I will also say, if you want to Google another organization, it's called Second Floor. And I know it's funded in New Jersey, but I never heard of them, and they've been in existence for a while. And it's more than a crisis line, it's just a talk line. So if you want to talk to someone and they don't ask you where you're from, they don't ask what state you're calling from, they just talk and see what you want to talk about. So I thought it was a great resource. So second floor, just in case. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Wonderful, thank you, Jane. So this evening, we're going to take up a love offering, and for the Tyler Clementi Foundation, if you brought cash or checks, you can make it out to the Tyler Clementi Foundation. And if you aren't prepared, our president, Kathy Hannes, Kathy, stand up and raise your hand. She's prepared in the back there to take a credit card to support the Tyler Clementi Foundation. So we're so grateful, and we welcome Dr. David Katz. Thank you. Ushers, come forward.
Do you ever lie awake at night, just between the dark and the morning light, searching for the things you used to know, looking for the place where the lost things go? Do you ever dream or reminisce, wondering where to find what you truly miss? Maybe all the things that you love so are waiting in the place where the lost things go. Memories you shared, gone for good you feared, they're all around you still, though they'll disappear. Nothing's really left or lost without a trace. Nothing's gone forever, only out of place. So maybe now the dish and my best spoon are playing hide and seek just behind the moon, waiting there until it's time to show. Spring is like that now, far beneath the snow, hiding in the place where the lost things go. Time to close your eyes, so sleep can come around. For when you dream, you'll find all that's lost is found. Maybe on the moon, or maybe somewhere new. Maybe all you're missing lives inside of you. So when you need her touch and loving gaze, gone but not forgotten is the perfect phrase, smiling from a star that she made glow. Trust she's always there, watching as you grow. Find her in the place where the lost things go.
And now for our finale, we welcome back the Northport High School Choir and Suncoast MCC. Thank you once again on behalf of our Venice Pride Board for being here tonight, and all our guests, and especially Northport High School Choir and Jane Clementi. Give them a great big hand today. Thank you.